to it. And just in the corner here, there's a little notch in the wood, and that's where they string the different leaves together. There aren't very many about, and that little thing there could rewrite history. Fantastic. Very, very, very carefully pop that into water, and then we'll get that down to the lab in a couple of hours' time, and it can start its conservation.
Andrew's mother, Patricia Burley, takes over from there. To free the tablets from the sticky bog requires the patience of a saint and the touch of a surgeon.
When something's been in the ground for as long as 2,000 years, it's very, very fragile indeed. You can feel the brush going through the tablet and onto your fingers beneath. It's also been burnt in antiquity, so it's very, very black indeed. The writing tablets are conserved using methylated spirits, and the ink is preserved beautifully. It really is a handshake with the past. You can start to relate to people and think about their daily lives.
But how did these fragile handshakes, these letters to and from the Roman front, get here in the first place? Archaeological surveys reveal the Romans are roadaholics. 50,000 miles of paved thoroughfares link the far edges of the empire to the officers and grunts of Vindolanda. Here, Messicus and his mates appeal to faraway friends and family for what amount to care packages. One man begs for clothing, not for himself, but for his men.
I greet you and ask that you send the things which I need for the use of my boys. 6 tunics, which you well know I cannot properly get hold of here.
Another soldier vents his disappointment when his letters home have gone unanswered.
Very many greetings. I want you to know I am in very good health, as I hope you are, you neglectful man who has sent me not one letter.
Needless to say, even the smallest of mail deliveries are major deals. The letters from Vindolanda have helped historians peek into some mysterious corners of Roman life, whether they wanted to or not. For instance, have you ever wondered whether Roman soldiers wore anything under those tunics? Well, you're in luck. And now a letter from home answers the question once and for all. It reads as follows.
Greet Tetricus and all your messmates, with whom I pray that you live in the greatest of good fortune. I have sent you socks from Satua, 2 pairs of sandals, and 2 pairs of underpants.
And when you get down to socks and underpants, you're getting pretty close to the nitty-gritty.
Along with the mail comes the occasional retailer. In most cases, these traders are Romans who have followed the army here from Europe. Letters found at Vindolanda show that foot soldiers had major cash flow problems.
They only get paid twice a year or 3 times a year at the most. And the sort of coins they're getting paid in are the sort of coins I've got in my hand right here. Beautiful little copper alloy coins.
According to one letter, without cold cash, Messicus and his brothers are plumb out of luck.
Unless you send me some cash, at least 500 denarii, the result will be that I shall lose what I have laid out on deposit, and I shall be embarrassed.
While Messicus struggles to make ends meet, his commanding officer, Flavius Cerealis, earns about 50 times more.
We know an awful lot about him. We've got 80 or 90 of his letters now, and I can tell you his wife, his children, names of his wife, his children, his friends. One like a soap opera letter we've ever found.
Letters found at Vindolanda reveal that Flavius and his men were not from Rome. In fact, they weren't even Roman.
Second sheet, in fact,
They hailed from Batavia, what is called the Netherlands today. A Roman historian said, the Batavians were like weapons and armor, only to be used in war.
They had some tremendous skills which the Romans valued, like they could swim across rivers fully armed, leading their horses with them. The Romans also used them to win the Battle of Mons Graupus.
When he's not stalking Britons, Commander Flavius Cerealis hunts wild game. A letter tells just how.
Greetings. If you love me, brother, I ask that you send me some hunting nets. You should make the pieces very strong.
I mean, our commanding officer has 4 different kinds of special nets for catching small birds, medium-sized birds, swans even.
After a long day on the hunting grounds, Flavius lives the high life. Shopping lists discovered at Vindolanda show he dined on fresh oysters and vintage wines. Cheers. Flavius is allowed to bring his family to the frontier. His wife, named Lepidina, dresses fashionably. His children have a private tutor to school them in a classical Roman education. The Burleys unearthed a fragment of Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid, written in a child's hand.
Really rare.
When they saw the translation, they were astonished to find something more than just a Latin lesson.
The normal capital, inter ea pavidam volitem spinata, then it should have said per urbem. Then someone in totally different handwriting. You see here, S-E-G, short for segnita. Sloppy work. He's done pretty well, poor chap, but then he's gone wrong, and no doubt he got a crack over the head from the teacher who wrote sloppy on it.
While Flavius enjoys the good life, his soldiers at the fort take time off for bad behavior. Discoveries at the fort open a steamy new chapter on the fast life at the Roman front. At Vindolanda, hanky-panky and personal hygiene coexist at the bathhouse.
Every Roman fort worth its salt had a bathhouse. Now, bathhouses are 2 things. They're obviously for bathing, but it's also where you go in your off-duty hours to let off steam.
And after a hot dip, nothing hits the spot better than a brewski. An officer's letter confirms that Messicus and his pals have a powerful thirst for beer.
Be well disposed toward me. My fellow soldiers have no beer. Please order some to be sent.
But somewhere along the line, Vindolanda's party animals get fed up with making beer runs. A brewery is built just outside the fort. The Burleys even found inventory lists of the grains used to make beer, and the name of the brewer, Atractus.
British beer is supposed to smell absolutely disgusting, but I suppose once you've drank 9 or 10 pints, it doesn't really matter.
Roman soldiers also find ways to satisfy their libidos while stationed here.
At Vindolanda, it's quite clear that there were times during the day when those baths were thrown open to the civilians. There is evidence for prostitution, although they didn't call it that.
Instead of calling these working girls prostitutes, Romans politely refer to them as actresses. While casual sex is tolerated on the frontier, at least one Roman emperor tries to keep the lid on things. He decrees that no place of entertainment may be built too close to garrison walls.
And the fact that he issued the edict so many times shows that no one was paying any attention to him whatsoever.
I don't think they were obsessed with sex. I think they were actually very much open about sex.
Artifacts discovered at Vindolanda bear this out. This figurine celebrates the female form. And these small phallic-shaped pendants leave nothing to the imagination except perhaps who wore them and where. This item has nothing to do with sex, but everything to do with fun and games in the bathhouse.
The Roman soldiers are notorious for their gambling. We find traces of that in parts of gaming boards and, of course, dice. And it's one of those objects from the Roman period that you could pick up and use in exactly the same way today.
Along with beer and actresses came the occasional game of Roman craps. One pair of ancient dice proves that some players made their own luck.
It's very evident on a few that they have got little lead plugs and little lead fills, which means that they roll 5 or 6 practically every time.